Hello and welcome to the strategic analysis for the operational case study February 2019 exam, where we will be looking at Trigg Adventure. So let's start with a quick introduction to the case. So if you haven't already seen the pre-scene analysis in that video series, which was 6 videos in total, we did a very in-depth analysis of the company. Now, if you haven't seen that video, here's a quick introduction to the case. So Trigg Adventure, this is the company we are dealing with. They are a small family-owned company that is in the business of designing, manufacturing, and the installation of children's outdoor play equipment. Okay, so quite a few interesting things there. We know they're a small family-owned business. There are around 111 employees. The owner is the son of the founder, and it kind of runs in that sort of way. So sort of small, informal, slightly more informal structure than a more corporate company. They are involved in many things. So they design their own products, they manufacture their own products, and in some cases they go out and install their products. And those products are children's outdoor play equipment. So we're talking about sort of climbing frames and slides, swings, those sorts of things. There are 2 primary markets that they are involved in. A domestic market where they're selling privately to parents essentially who want to buy flat pack outdoor equipment for their children and then install them themselves. They also deal with commercial clients, businesses and local government authorities who are either building public playgrounds or erecting kind of sort of outdoor play equipment on their private business premises. Now, the company was founded 25 years ago by Stanley Trigg, but Stanley has recently retired and given his 75% stake to his son, Tony. Now, Tony is also the managing director as well as the majority shareholder, and he shares that ownership with another one of the directors, the production director, who owns the remaining 25% in the company. And that production director has been involved in the company since more or less its foundation, maybe a few years after it was initially set up. The company recently made revenues of approximately 20 million dollars. F stands for Forland, which is the fictional country in which this company operates. It's in the pre-scene, it tells us it's based in Central Europe and has a population of around 40 million inhabitants. And this revenue of around 20 million dollars was actually a small decrease on the previous year. So for the first time, profits have decreased, which is a fairly worrying prospect. So let's move on and think about what it is we want to achieve, what our aims are going to be for this video. So the basic structure of this video will follow the rational planning model, and this is a way of coming up with a business strategy for the company. And we can summarize it in this diagram. So there are a few main elements. We start by thinking about the future of the company, thinking about their mission, their objectives, and there are a few other key things that go into that. So we think about their critical success factors, what it is that is essential that they do correctly and well in order to succeed. We think about stakeholder mapping, understanding the stakeholders for the company and where they should be mapped, whether they have high or low interest, high or low power. We also need to think about governance, corporate governance, perhaps corporate social responsibility, and of course ethics, because they help us, a company, to make decisions about where they want to be in the future. We also need to think about where the company are now, and that involves us looking at the business environment in which they currently operate, and that will effectively come down to a PESTEL analysis. We want to look at a market analysis, so understanding the brand, the company's brand, what their brand currently is. We look at the 4 Ps of the marketing mix to get an understanding of where they stand with regards to that. We also think about the value chain, that's Porter's value chain, and we look at the different activities the company is engaged in and look for where they are adding value or subtracting unnecessary costs. And that all effectively winds up in a SWOT analysis where we look at or summarize the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that the company faces. And then once we've done that, we've got a clear idea of where the company wants to be. We know where they are currently. That will help us to come up with a business strategy that effectively acts as a bridge between where the company is now and where they're going to be in the future. So effectively, this video will be in 3 halves. So the first half will 3 halves. That doesn't make sense. 3/3. 3 sections. So in the first section, we look at the future. In the second section, we look at where the company is now. And the very final bit is formulating a business strategy based on the analysis we've done. So the first stage then is to start with the future. And that means looking at mission and objectives, what the company's mission and objectives will be, what their goals and aims are. And these are the key areas that we identified: critical success factors, stakeholder mapping, governance, and ethics. And this will take up the first half of the video. So first off, we're going to look at mission and think a bit about the company's mission and what their mission might be. Now, we need to essentially here figure out what the company, what the organization is all about, why it exists, what it is trying to achieve, etc. And the idea of a mission is to provide a common purpose. And this effectively helps the organization focus and move forward and gives a direction to the directors to guide the strategy of the company. But it also helps at all levels of the company because you have managerial and operational workers. If they are aware of a clear mission as well, then they can keep that in mind and keep that focus in the front of their minds when they are doing their own work. So there are a few key elements to good mission statements. The first being the purpose. And here we ask the question, why does the organization exist, or for whom does the organization exist? And the answer to that, I suppose, would be quite simply, we are looking for parents who want to buy high quality outdoor equipment for their children. And not just parents, but also businesses and local government authorities. So it's not just parents. There are some other groups in that as well. But effectively, they want high quality outdoor equipment that is safe, that is reliable, that is sturdy for children of the age range, perhaps 5 to 10, maybe slightly older. And so that's the main purpose of the company. So what does the company hope to achieve in the long term? Well, from what we can gather from looking at the pre-scene, they're interested in growth and long-term stability, maintaining their profits, continuing to grow, and potentially going into new markets, coming up with new products, etc. All of that in the name of growth and stability in the long term. So that is their purpose. But what about their strategy? How are they going to compete? What are the range of businesses that they are operating within? So the key thing for this company is the quality. They have high quality products that are renowned for their high quality and their safety. And that's a very important thing when we're talking about children's outdoor play equipment. So they're going to compete on quality and potentially as well in the future, although perhaps not right at the moment, they have a unique and varied product range, and that will attract all sorts of customers for varying different needs. And that would be the best way for them to compete and stay ahead of the competition. So then we move on to values. What does the organization stand for? In this case, it's quality. We've already sort of identified. The most important thing is the quality of the materials, but also reliability, ensuring that the materials are safe for children to use and are, will continue to be safe for the foreseeable future. So the final part of missions is policies, and these are the policies that people are expected to follow that ensure people act according to the defined values, strategy, and purpose. Now, there is no information in the pre-scene on specific policies, so we could only really guess here, but policies could be put in place to help us with these various different areas. And while there might not be strict policies in place, we know that the company have good relationships with suppliers, for example, and that's perhaps not a policy, but that's something that ensures good quality of materials, and that leads all the way through. So you have quality materials, you're strategically competing by having high quality products, and that allows you to grow and have long-term stability. So there's an example of how something like a policy feeds through this kind of hierarchy. So that's mission. The next is to think about objectives and performance measurement. Now, objectives provide a focused target to move towards, and that's essential to have focus and to have something to move towards, because it keeps people working together, it keeps staff motivated, and it means we can measure our progress and see how well we are doing. And from the case study, we can infer a few specific targets. One we've already mentioned, they want growth, but more specifically, they're interested in growing in the commercial market. What we found in the pre-scene is that the two markets they operate in, the domestic and commercial, domestic has been in a maturity phase for a while and may even be entering a decline stage fairly soon, whereas the commercial market is in a growth phase, arguably, and still yet to reach its stability or its maturity. So the commercial market is the one to go for in terms of growth, and there are a few sort of more specific plans for the company to achieve that. Another key area is new product development. The company have recognized that their current product line isn't very varied. They perhaps don't have a wide enough range of products, and they will be looking at investing in new product development, potentially products even outside the current the markets, and perhaps going more into children's toys in general, maybe the use of digital and more technologically advanced equipment in some of their products. Another key one from the pre-scene is sustainability. This is something that the sales director is really concerned about and wants to improve sustainability practices in the company. There are no specifics on how they intend to achieve that, but it's something she's highlighted as perhaps lacking in the company that she wants to improve upon. Now, the company probably will have more specific targets than this, although we do get these three specific ones mentioned in the pre-scene. But if the unseen suggests that there are no more specific targets, then that is a weakness in the company and a weakness in their planning approach. I would say that the company has a fairly clear idea of where it is they want to be in the future. They've got some clear targets, some clear objectives, and they even have some ideas of how to achieve that. So in this case, I wouldn't say that their sort of planning approach had a weakness in general. So just before we finish, I'd like to take you through some of the products we offer in the entire case study course. So this is just one element of the whole course, and I'll just go through the other things that we offer here. So to start with, we have a study text that is devoted to the operational case study, and that's split into two parts. The first part is a guide to how to pass the case study exam. It's full of exam tips, exam strategy, time management, preparation and planning, how to write to the marking criteria, all those kinds of things. And then part two of that study text is a condensed version of all the relevant material of the kind of things that come up in the exam over and over. So essentially, it's the most popular topics that have come up in past exams from E1, P1 and F1. And so those are the two study texts available for the operational case study course. And we also do course videos that are roughly based around that first study text. So the exam advice and the timing, the planning, all the things that go in to preparing an exam strategy. We have an entire series of videos that go through that in detail. So if you're more of a visual learner rather than a reader, you can check those out, and they'll be a great help in getting you past the exams. The pre-scene analysis is the series of 6 videos where we look through the actual pre-scene in minute detail, going through every paragraph, making notes and looking how we can use this information to better prepare for the exam when the exam comes up. Separate from that is an industry analysis, and that is a document and a video as well, so the two are in tandem. And the document is about 100 pages looking at the industry in which the company exists. So for example, if the case company is in the car and they're a car manufacturer, then the industry analysis would be an analysis of the car industry. And that's like I say, that's a large document where we break it down, and we're essentially, the point of that is we're doing the research for you to save you time and energy. And the really great thing about the industry analysis is that we include 25 industry examples at the end. So things that happened in the real industry. So the example I just used, it being the car industry. If we were doing the car industry, we'd take 25 examples from the car industry of relevant news and things that have happened to companies and to the industry and consumers or whatever it is. As when we get from those 25 examples, we write a little exam paragraph, the kind of thing that you can literally rehearse and put it in your exam if it's relevant. Examiners do like to see that you have a wider industry knowledge, and so putting in a little example like that can get you good marks. We do mock exams. For the operational case study, we write 3 mock exams, and we have a free mini mock that you can do that are based on the actual CIMA style case study. So they're computer based, they're online, and they're timed, and it's as close to the real thing as we can possibly make it. And that's a really good way to prepare you for the exam. Each time we write our questions based on the pre-scene that's just been released. And with those mock exams, you can get marking and feedback, and that's really essential for you to, if you do your mock exams, I would recommend also getting marking and feedback, because you can then see where you went wrong or what you did well. And the feedback allows you to improve on that. Really important part that a lot of students skip over, and they really struggle in the exam because they weren't prepared, they hadn't done the mock exams. We have masterclasses that run over a course of 2 separate weekends, running up to the exam, and they're essentially a live online class webinar where our tutor will go through with you the kind of a revision one where we're recapping on the most important topics from the E1, P1, and F1 syllabus, and one will be sort of more exam focused. And then finally, we offer pass guarantee, which means that if you meet all the requirements, so you use all these different products that are available, and you fill in a checklist to say that you've done those, but you still don't pass your exam, you're unfortunate or whatever, then we will allow you to resit our course, to take our course again at no extra charge. That's really great for people who are perhaps taking it for the first time and they don't quite pass, but they need to take the course again. If you've gone through that scheme and you've done everything that we ask you to do, then we'll give you the course again for free.